Hey there, friends. Come on in. Pull up a chair. We saved a seat for you. I'm Jonathan. This is Boards and Chords, and today we're talking about the board game Caverna. This is called Caverna the Cave Farmers, and whenever you're playing this game, each of the players will be taking the role of the leader of a dwarf family, having just moved into their cave and trying to build a homestead in their snug little cavern. In a limited number of turns, then you must excavate your cave and clear the forest outside your door. Decisions have to be made. Will you grow your family beyond the original 2 dwarves? Will you expand your home to fill up the cave with rooms? Will you develop an ore and ruby mining empire? Or will you feed your family with agriculture and animal husbandry? You can forge an axe and go adventuring and make your fortune that way. The choice is yours, but remember that you have a limited number of turns, and you're also in competition with the other dwarves for the highest score, obtained by crafting the most economical homemaking strategy. The gameplay consists of a fixed number of rounds, during which each player takes turns assigning their different dwarven family members to certain jobs, each of which can ordinarily be only performed by one dwarf among all the players each round. Each player has a small board in front of them representing their home cave and the land just outside. And it's the goal of each of the players then to maximize their score by developing all the spaces on their board with the most efficient and score accumulating strategy that they can devise. Now the scores will be tracked and compared at the end on the score sheets, and the items that you can get score for are things such as farm animals, the different vegetables and grains that you can grow, rubies and iron ore, the different tiles that represent mines and the developed land outside with pastures and that sort of things. Those are worth points. And also the different rooms that you can build inside of your cave. Many of them will be also worth points that will accumulate towards your score. So the players will each accomplish your clever plans by, during their turns, assigning one of your dwarves to one of the spaces on the action boards. Plan carefully, though, because each of these spaces can only be used, in general, once per round. So you may have to go with Plan B if one of the other players grabs the spot that you wanted first. Now, the different action boards vary depending on how many players there are. And they offer different opportunities to gather wood and stone, animals, ore, and other resources. You can clear the forests outside of your home, dig out rooms inside your cave, furnish spaces with room tiles, build pastures, fences, barns, dig mines, plant crops, and more. There's just so many things that you can do in this. But one of the main choices that you'll have to make whenever you're deciding your strategy is going to be how to furnish your cave using room tiles. And so here's a strategy tip early this time. One possible way that you can build out your cavern would be to keep with 2 dwarves only and not expand beyond that. Then you build 4 ore mines in your cave. Then they'll also be placed in those ore mines, 1 donkey each. So then you'll furnish one of your caverns with the mining cave, which reduces food cost by 1 per donkey in a mine. Now you'll have to feed ordinarily each of your dwarves 2 food per round. So that this will remove the food gathering burden. Since you have 4 donkeys and a mine, you won't have to accumulate any more food for purposes of feeding your dwarves because you only have 2 dwarves. So this will allow you to focus on other things such as gathering ore in your ore mines. Along with this strategy, then, you might furnish one of your caverns with the miner room, which provides bonus points at the end of the game for, you guessed it, each nugget of ore that you mine. Since you have 4 ore mines, you can very quickly accumulate a lot of ore. So having lots of ore also has the side effect of allowing you to forge weapons for your dwarves to gather needed resources through adventuring. This is just one sample strategy. Many others will suggest themselves to you as you study the game and start to realize the potential synergies available in the game mechanics. But let's talk about these components in the game. There are a ton of pieces that come in Caverna. The game's website reports that there's over 300 wooden pieces for animals and vegetables, other resources, and dwarves. There's over 60 acrylic pieces for nuggets like ores and rubies. There's 16 game boards. There's 16 punch boards, each with pieces on it, so that the total number comes to over 400 of these little punched out pieces. There's 30 cards that comes with it. There's a pad of tear-off sheets for scoring. And then we have a rule book and an appendix. So there's a lot that comes with it. But there are all of these pieces that come with this game are really of great quality. The wooden animals and resources are chunky and they feel really good in your hand. They're easily recognizable and identifiable as what they represent. I mean, here's a little cow right here. And it works out much better. I think they add a lot to the game. It's better than if they just had cardboard discs, say, that have just a picture painted on it. It makes the game feel more active and like the player is really building up something, building up a homestead, rather than just playing a card game. The game boards, the rooms, and other game tiles are made out of sturdy, thick cardboard. These two are well designed in that they stack up so nicely on top of the other tiles, and they start to give a sense of development that's really tactile and visible and easy to recognize and see. So, for example, one may first excavate a couple of cave spaces to make tunnels. The tunnel tile will be placed on top of the 2 cave squares on the home board. Then the player may be able to place an ore mine on top of those 2 tunnels. And then following that, they may want to delve further into the remaining tunnel space to dig a ruby mine. The ruby mine tile will then be placed on top of the other tunnel. So this stacking mechanic gives an easy to understand visual representation of the progress being made. All right, another aspect that I want to talk about with the components then would be regarding storage. If you watch my other videos or listen to the podcasts, you will know that I talk about storage quite a bit. Because these hobby board games with tons of pieces, set up and clean up can be a real deterrent to getting it out. It can be a big headache. So I want to make a suggestion to you that's helped us out a lot in this regard. Caverna has more pieces to it than possibly any other game we have. So we could bag them all up, all of the many pieces, and then pour them out, and then pack them back away at the end of the game. This takes a lot of time. It discourages us from getting the game out very often. Or rather it did before I made a purchase that I want to recommend to you along with this game. Broken Token is a company that makes board game box inserts they're organizers for the different board games. This one greatly improves the piece management in Caverna. So I would suggest that whenever you get Caverna, also pick up this game organizer as well. So once you assemble it, it inserts right inside the game box, and the component trays just lift right out for easy access. They sell it on Amazon, so whenever you go to the Amazon page, you can see some different angles and pictures of the storage and how it works. And I'll make a link for that down in the show notes so you can easily find it. As for our experiences with the game, I believe that this Caverna might have the distinction of being the one that we played most often of all of our games during our game nights on Saturday nights. My middle daughter, picks this game frequently, and she regularly just destroys us all, scoring 2 or 3 times as much as the next runner-up. I would rate the learning curve of this game as modest and the mastery as challenging. Developing a winning strategy will involve learning the room tile abilities and understanding the synergies between them and the different play styles. Those members of your family that can make those connections will more consistently score better at the end of the game. The design of this game allows for between 1 player and 7, and the actual individual gameplay doesn't really change that much between the single player version and the multiplayer game. What this means is that there isn't a whole lot of interaction between the players. Basically, it amounts to each of us sitting around playing a solo game in turns on our own game boards and then comparing score at the end. The interaction that we have comes in and that the other players can affect or even thwart our strategy if they are selecting the same rooms or methods of playing, and they end up buying the same room or doing the same action that you wanted to do that round. This sort of solo/multiplayer game is not uncommon in Euro-style games and worker placement type games such as Caverna is, but it can have the effect of moderate periods of boredom for younger players when it is not their turn. Optimally, during other players' turns, you'll be making plan A, plan B, and possibly plan C as you see the other players making their choices and possibly choosing the rooms or the actions that you wanted for whenever your turn comes back around again. However, this, as well as other games that have long periods of inactivity and low player interaction between turns, can often discourage younger players as they lose interest and attention in what's going on. As I've said in other board game reviews like this, it can even turn them off to board gaming in general if they start viewing all the games to be like this. So further notes on family friendliness, I would want to point out that Caverna is not a game of chance, but one of strategy. As such, then, I would recommend that this game either be played by a group of kids of approximately the same age, so that the players are more or less equal in strategy potential, or that the play group be of age 12 and up as recommended by the box lid. Caverna is about farming and building and does not portray or insinuate inappropriate moral content like violence or sex or profanity. I am quite comfortable with my kids playing this game in regards to the content of it. As with all board games, playing Caverna fosters opportunity for family interaction around the table, good sportsmanship, mind skills development, and lasting family memories. I enjoy this as a pure strategy game. Sometimes I like rolling dice and having a lot of randomness to it, but other times I like playing a game that has a high strategy value to it. And this is one of those, one where I can develop a strategy and try it out. Maybe because it's not as competitive as far as the strategies, a lot of times you can try new ones out as you learn the tiles, the different rooms, and the ways that they work together, and the ways that you can make a new winning strategy. You can try it out and see if it'll work. So that's fun, and I enjoy that sometimes. So maybe you will too. Please leave me some comments on this video. I would like to hear what your favorite worker placement game is, and if you ever played this game right here, this Caverna strategy game, how it rates among the worker placements that you've played. We like it. I rate it overall as a 7 out of 10, and that it's not one that I would pick all the time to play, but whenever it comes out, I'm usually not disappointed. We like this game, and I hope that it appeals to you as well. If so, go out and pick one up and schedule a game night tonight. Thanks for joining us on Boards and Chords. Connect with us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, or at our website at boardsandchords.com. We'll see you at the table.